New York State legislators receive a stipend of up to $171 per day, while some even get to use a state-owned or leased vehicle for their personal use. What's your position on this practice?
I think it's wrong. I think that, being that the average state assemblyman or woman gets $90,000 a year, well, they're already getting paid well enough. Actually, I've worked at quite a few jobs in my life, and travel is one of the things that happens. You have to get there. Now, if our legislators aren't willing to say, you know what, $90,000, I guess that is enough for me to pay for my own gas. And then I read in the newspaper, there was one legislator that said, well, that's the way that they set it up. He is part of the they. Now, it's the legislators that are going to fix that. But you know what? They won't fix it until you are the legislators, until the people are able to access government. See, you are the solution. And that's what I'm always going to come back to, because it's the truth. Legislators, they're just going to look out for themselves. It's the people like yourselves that are so frustrated, and hopefully, if you're able to get more involved in political office, you'll do the right thing. And that's what my whole goal is. Now, if anybody can't see that, then that you are the solution. It's a sad state of affairs, because you're the only ones that are going to fix it.
I own a small business. When you own a small business, you end up doing everything yourself. If you have to change the light bulbs, you change the light bulbs. You have to sweep the floor, you sweep the floor. I own a car. I don't need a car from the state. I probably can get away staying at Motel 6 when I go to Albany. That stuff is not important to me. It's not important in the least. And I honestly think, for most of us, it's a red herring. While the state assembly is wasting billions of dollars, we're focused on $110 a day or whatever it is that they get. It's so minute that it doesn't really even register on the scale. If you go over to Binghamton University and you check out the salaries there of the professors, the basketball coaches, the president, who makes $350,000 a year, gets a car, a driver, a housing allowance. We see that because it's here in our backyard, but it's happening all over the state. So focusing on, $110 a day and say, well, we'll cut it in half to $50. It's chicken feed compared to where the money's really being wasted. Sure, do away with the per diem. That's fine with me. But pay attention to the dollars, not the pennies. You really want to know what's going wrong.
The red herring. He's right. Every problem that is brought up, that is talked about in the newspaper, on the media, that they're all red herrings. They're all to distract you, to try and get your mind away from the idea that you are the solution. You are the beginning of solving these red herring problems. Now, just like mission number 2 on my website, how to bring prosperity back. It's just common sense stuff. But you know what? Our legislators, they don't want a system where responsibility is incentivized, because once every dollar is accounted for, that's less waste for them to move around where they want it to go. See, legislators like the waste, and that's why you're never going to see the problem get fixed until people that aren't legislators, I think you know where I'm going here, you are the ones that are in office. And that's why the solution is opening government to you.
What will your administration do to bring new and good-paying jobs to the 126th district of New York State?
All right. Well, right now, wow, I think I've already hit on this one. Being that every government-funded organization, be it the Red Cross, the street department, whatever, they are operating under that same premise. And this is going to get so cliche, but it's really it's because this is just common sense stuff. Now, they're all operating under the premise if they don't spend their entire budget this year, they're not going to get it next year. Now, once we start incentivizing, if we install a system that is incentive-driven, where people are rewarded by their own fiscal responsibility, then legislators won't have to micromanage anything. Then the street department, fire department, whatever, the schools, they will start managing themselves and making sure that they are fiscally responsible and saving us all dollars. Now, the way that we can do this is however many dollars they save, it goes back to the originating entity. It could be the state, the county, whatever. Then that entity pays off their debt. Once their debt is paid off, then they're going to be paying toward the following year's business taxes so that we can start luring businesses here. And then we'll start growing our economy, start growing our tax base with the people that come here. Now, this is all incentivized by 25% of the savings that any of you helped create if you work in one of those government-funded organizations. 25% of those savings will come back to you in the form of an evenly dispersed, tax-free end-of-year bonus. That means everybody, to include, well, your accountant, your janitors, your teachers, your police officers, whoever. They don't want to go on the end-of-year shopping spree because if they do, as long as safety and service isn't compromised, then if they're responsible with those dollars, they'll end up getting that Christmas bonus, and they want that. Right? Greed is bad, but sometimes you can make it work for you.
You know, we're going to talk about jobs. We have to talk about what the state of New York is doing now to drive the jobs away. I own a business. It's not a big business by any stretch of the imagination. But I know how difficult it is for a small businessman to hire somebody in the state of New York. I know how difficult it is. Well, let me give you an example. You might have heard the name Tom Golisano. Tom ran for governor a few years ago. Tom made a fortune, billions of dollars, millions anyway, processing payroll for small businesses. Isn't it amazing that a small business can't process its own payroll, that they have to hire somebody like that to do it? If you're a small business, you want to hire one person in the state of New York, you got to hire a second person just to do the paperwork on the first guy. Regulation, paperwork, unbelievable overhead and insurances kill job creation. We need to streamline the process, get that stuff out of the way. Don't put disincentives on hiring. I want my business to grow. I want to hire people for my business. Don't make it more difficult on me to do it. Make it easier. Don't... sales tax, simple little thing. Oh, all right, I'll get to it some other time.
1 minute for